I'm Alice McBain, and I'm the author behind Author vs. AI. If you'd like to learn more, please follow along at my website, authorversusai.com. In this video, I'm sharing tips and tricks about how I'm writing a book a week and how you can do it too. The topic this week is story arc, and there are two important subjects that I want to cover. The first is looking at the story arc, also called the narrative arc, for your entire manuscript. There are some basics that every story has to have in order to create a satisfying feel for the reader. Conflict is at the heart of giving a book its forward momentum. How boring would it be to read a book where nothing happens and there are no highs and lows? Even in children's books, there is a conflict that the main character has to overcome, whether it's big or small. A lot of terminology used for story structure is basically all focused around the same thing, creating movement in your narrative. For example, some people like to talk about the 3 acts of a story. So if looking at your story like a play, the 3-act structure is Act 1, set the scene, the characters, the setting, and the central conflict. Act 2, the characters react to the conflict, both good and bad, and try to achieve their specific goals. The conflict will come to a head and the characters will undergo some sort of change in their lives and/or in their outlooks. Act 3, the conflict or problem is resolved and the story comes to a conclusion. Another way of looking at a story is by seeing it like a roller coaster. At the beginning, when you're getting into the car, that's the inciting incident which gets the story moving. There will be rising action, taking you up the big hill of the roller coaster. The climax is at the top, and then there's falling action as you go down the coaster. At the end is the resolution when you get off the ride. Pretty straightforward, right? Well, now I'd like to look at something that authors sometimes forget, but it's equally as important, the story arc for each chapter. Just as your overall book should have a narrative arc, each chapter should also follow a similar structure. It would be boring to read a chapter where nothing happens, so you want each chapter to also follow a similar path that includes conflict and forward momentum for your characters. While not every chapter will need a full introduction, there should still be a rising action in the chapter, a mini climax, and falling action. Well, there might not always be a resolution in the chapter because, cliffhangers are great to keep the reader turning the page to the next chapter. There should be a mini resolution, something that is satisfying for the reader so they advance to the next page. Following the structure will help keep your readers on the edge of their seats from the first page to the last. Hope this helps when you're writing your chapters. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out to me in the chat. Happy writing.